Welcome, everybody, to Dad's A to Z. We're just two guys that think they know everything, but 4 out of 5 dentists know different.
Every week we're going to try to introduce a different topic and put some dad's views on it. This week's topic is obviously a Super Bowl Sunday. It's not obviously, but we're taping it on Super Bowl Sunday. We're living in an alternative universe where Giants are playing Saints in the Super Bowl, and we're going to pretend that Brady's not playing it again. And we're going to talk a little bit about Super Bowl and see how that affected our lives and went through when we were kids, and then we're going to talk about how that what our kids think about it and sports in general. So we'll go from there.
Yeah, the Super Bowl, and obviously we're going to have different perspectives. Because my team's won more than one, even though we're terrible now. That's just a dig, because he should have been there. Super Bowl was probably the first instance of having a party with neighbors and get-together type thing, and it was something that wasn't Christmas or Thanksgiving or Easter that you actually kind of looked forward to. You knew there was going to be food. When you were little, you kind of watched the game. You were probably playing. I was playing with my brother or whatever kids were there, and we'd pop in every once in a while. What's the score? We didn't care, And then as the commercials started getting interesting, you'd want to see the commercials. But then it really kind of became an extra holiday, as it has for many people in the United States, where it was planning, and it was who's hosting it this year, and where are we going, and who's going to be there, who's not going to be there, and yada yada. But it was just I loved it. And then when the Giants first got in there, I was lucky enough to have Giants season tickets. My father did when I was young. And I didn't see a Super Bowl, but I did see them win the NFC Championship game when they went and won the Super Bowl 86, 87.
You watched it live?
Oh, yeah. I was there.
Awesome.
Bart Oates, the center. We were the 30, maybe my brother. We were somewhere like 25th, 23rd row behind the Giants bench. And Bart Oates, who was the center, was right there coming into the stands with his little kid in his arms. And the image I remember the most was leaving. Back then it was the Meadowlands, not MetLife Stadium, the dump called the Meadowlands, driving away. And everyone celebrated so much, throwing trash and everything. And Giant Stadium was known for the swirling winds, and it looked like a tornado. Just because everyone was just throwing stuff in the air. From there on, I mean, the Mets won the World Series. I'm a Mets fan also. Won the World Series in '86. I was lucky enough to have one of the players' sons in my class in school. So I was already a Mets fan. They won the World Series. Wow, this is exciting. 6th grade. Then the Giants won. I was hooked at that point. Then this was something that, when I was a kid, football
Just became part of you.
We went to the games. My favorite time of the year was my father would come. They would come in packs of tickets. He had 4 seats, and he'd put them down. And I was oldest, so I got to pick first. And I got to pick one game that I wanted to go to. My brother would pick another game, and then I got to pick one, and we'd go to 2 games each. And then from there, it fueled my passion for enjoying the sport. Baseball was something I enjoyed playing a lot as a kid. At that time, I started transitioning less for the enjoyment of playing it and more in the enjoyment of watching it, the camaraderie and the excitement and getting into it. But I imagine you probably have something similar to that, but my guess, and tell me if I'm wrong, it was probably soccer, football, and basketball related rather than baseball, football.
It is, yeah. So I think I mentioned in a couple episodes ago, I'm from Serbia. That's for you who haven't learned geography in school. It's Southeast Europe, just a little bit south of like Hungary and north of Greece and east of Italy. And it's a big sports country. It's a tiny country, like only I think 7 million people.
They had a couple famous NBA players.
Oh yeah, they have like a gazillion famous. Vlade Divac was the one of the NBA.
Was that Drazen Petrovic dude?
He was Croatian.
Croatian, that's right.
Ex-Yugoslav. So
that area of the world.
Politically, we're going to go that way some other time. But the whole region. So Serbia had the sports is a number one thing for everybody. Like it just is. Like it doesn't nothing else compares to it. And I think like the States have football and baseball, and Serbia and Europe in general have like soccer is the number one. I think it's like what's the saying? It says the most important second thing in the world is soccer, and then basketball. So I'm coming from a sports nation. Serbia is a country that won 5 world championships in basketball, and it's
really?
and it's a 7 million people country.
Yeah.
Like it's a tiny country, but has great talent when it comes to sports. So sports was always big, and soccer was big. Really, I grew up playing it and watching it and going to a lot of games.
And you guys are built for it. I mean, Z's
6'4", 6'4", yeah.
I mean, that's your soccer players.
And it's like really, it's a funny thing you mentioned that. I said I always that people consider me tall here, but when in my country, like none of my friends is below 6 feet. Like it's just like normal thing, So it's like normal. I play basketball every single day for years. Like it's just, and there's like, unlike here, I think it's a little bit different here, but like there's like basketball courts everywhere. Like you can walk for like 10 minutes not to see a basketball.
I think there's areas of the country here
maybe
that
like
have
that, yeah.
Usually a more metropolitan area.
Yeah, well, Florida's not like that. So it's it was just the usual thing, like you go to school and after school you go play sports, and it's just a normal thing. So like you had soccer and basketball in Serbia or Europe in general, and football, baseball here. So I've been here for 12 years. 13, whatever. I can't get into baseball, but I started loving football before I even moved here.
So, and I was going to ask you, how, now I know Super Bowl is a huge product in the world.
Not a big deal.
Really?
Yeah, not a big deal.
So then how do you get introduced to the NFL and then New Orleans?
Yeah, so it's funny, yeah. It's I think like 15 years ago or so, probably 16, maybe more. Time is a blur. The NFL started popularizing their sport in Europe. They wanted to gain more.
NFL Europe, they did in the 90s.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So it started like just like that. And my best friend got into it, and he started playing football with some club there. They had like a league, something
right.
like a Sunday league for football. And so he started like making me watch it, and I don't know, on TV there were just like Patriots games and for some reason Saints games. And I started liking Saints. And fun fact, I never watched Saints win Super Bowl because they won it only one time, like 11 years ago. Today, I think 11 years ago. But a fun fact, when I moved to the States and I moved to Tampa first, it was the day of the Super Bowl when they won the Super Bowl. So it was like a coincidence, but it happened that time. It's really, I started watching Saints and I started liking them, and then the whole thing, like then Drew Brees came on board, and then it's like obviously became a big fan of the man, and started watching it. That all intensified 10 times. My love for football intensified 10 times with the fantasy football. Because by that time, like when I just moved here, I just I knew about it a little bit. I didn't really get into it to be a super fan, but I like watched a little bit. And then the group of friends of mine that I work with when I moved here, they had a fantasy league, and we started, and I started getting deep into it with all the strategies and everything. Started watching every single game, and since then that's been like 12 years ago. And from then on, I've been being a big football fan. And from the European point of view, I think American football is probably the closest in intensity and in importance of every game like you would see in soccer. The reason why I don't enjoy necessarily, I call it American sports, why I don't enjoy NBA, and I like NBA, but I don't enjoy it from the competitive point of view. And I would probably have the same opinion for baseball, is that there's so many games. Let's take basketball for instance, like 82 games. You can just win 40, don't come to play out of 40, and you might be in playoffs. And I think it's just not exciting.
Mm.
Football, you might lose one game. That is it. Like look the Dolphins this year. Like that is it. Like
Yep.
one game, that is it. Look at Saints, like lost to the Eagles for God's sakes, and lost
Stupid Eagles.
and lost the first seed. And here we are now playing Super Bowl right now. So it's like one game has so much effect, and I don't think in others. So that's why I like it. And the playoffs setting is even more exciting. One and done.
Mm-hmm.
There's no who wins 4 out of 7. Like it's just you have to perform every game all the time, and that's why I think I like the soccer is a similar thing. You have not 17 but 37 games on average, depending on the league, but also every game important. So that's how. But Super Bowl, I don't know how it's now. It might be more popular than it was because I'm talking about 16, 17 years ago. But really, like championship league in soccer is probably the finals is probably more what we would consider here for Super Bowl. Like I know I went like a couple of years ago into Serbia, and it was just the day. It was the time around the Liverpool won the European Championship League, and it was like that. We were making plans. We were going to watch it. Drinks, food. Like it's just like a mini Super Bowl.
And for those that don't know, the Champions League takes the best professional soccer players in Europe, soccer teams in Europe, and puts them in a tournament where eventually they go through a group stage, yada yada, and you'll have your best team. 2 years ago, it was my Liverpool Reds. I don't even remember who won it this past year.
Yeah.
But it'll be somebody from Spain, somebody from Italy, usually from Spain or England, typically.
Germany.
So that's the comparison, just for you guys that didn't know what that was.
So that's a kind of comparison, but I think that the basics are the same. I think that love for the sports and just having that sport as part of the social environment and not only watching it competitively or playing it competitively. I think that's a good line between two cultures, let's call it like that. And it played a big part. It wasn't NFL, but it was sports. So and from the early, you saying how you remember your going to the games with your dad. I remember going to the games with my dad, but it was soccer games, and like all that excitement going for a game, and it was just it was something that was a big part of the life, and I think like influence. I haven't, of course, naturally, I haven't became a professional athlete. And sitting here, but I probably for the first, I don't want to say like 25 years of like when I finished elementary school, I started playing sports daily, and it was a big influencer of my development and just the love for that sport, and that's what I kind of want to do with my daughter now. She's semi-interested. Also, my daughter's 5 years old, and she's been on every single Orlando City game since she was born. So I'm hoping to, at least if she doesn't get into sports and it's not interested to watch it, at least to get those memories from like, I went to games with my dad and mom.
But I think there's a real important necessity in sport, and people can argue that it could be other things, but for me, the idea of participating in sport as a kid helped. It was your first job. Some people could say it's school, but school was an obligation, and a job can be an obligation. But school, you had to go. As a kid, you had no say. You went. You went through the motions. You studied hard. You didn't study hard. Whatnot. Playing a sport was the job. Sometimes you had to try out. Mm-hmm. Maybe you didn't make it. I didn't make my freshman basketball team because I should never have tried out for my freshman basketball team. I'm 6 foot and slow. There's no reason for it. And then it was a boss you had to perform for. There was rules, there was expectations, there were standards, there was practice, training, so to speak, and then camaraderie, building a team. And it was really important for my wife and I almost said her name, but I don't know if she wants me to say that. Well, you guys know us, you know her name. Hi. It was really important because she was a softball player and a basketball player. I was almost primarily a baseball player. It was very important for them to experience it, even if it wasn't going to be something they were going to want to pursue, just to get them in that environment. So, my son's older than my daughter. Said to him, we tried to encourage first to kind of say, hey, do you want to play? Do you want to do? And try to pull it out of them rather than just going, you're doing this. And some parents do that. And tell me why. Why did you choose to do it that way? Because maybe there's a reason for it. I don't know. We did eventually force a choice. Said, I don't care what sport it is. Just pick one. We'll get behind it. We'll figure it out. We're thinking it's going to be baseball. Wife's a softball player. I'm a baseball player. We've had catches. Piece of cake. I want to play soccer. Well, in the United States, especially, I would say over the last 5 years, it's gotten more popular. But back then, not so much. It was a fun little thing to do with your kids.
Yeah.
But I hadn't played, definitely. I don't think I'd ever watched a soccer game up to that point. But I didn't know the rules. I didn't know anything. So he picked soccer. Fine. Sign him up, local YMCA league. Fast forward, he does enjoy it. Unfortunately, he had to stop playing because we had one car and two. He was in one league. My daughter did eventually pick soccer as well. Was in another league. Every game was scheduled at the same time in 2 different fields. Oh. There was just no way. So since he had already had a chunk of years to play, we elected to pull him out. He didn't want to play something else. He will be playing volleyball this year, he says. Mm-hmm. What I had to do is try to figure out how to be excited for this, because I don't know, because I'm touting to him how important it was to me. So I had to learn the game. And I tried to show the passion. I actually wound up coaching. I didn't know how offsides worked in soccer, which for you hockey fans, it doesn't work the same way. It was something I had to kind of put my money where my mouth was. And my kid loved it. Now, my son says I like to micromanage him. And today he's not running our audio, so I can't kind of bounce it off him. But he says I like to micromanage him. But when I coached him in soccer, he loved it. I don't know what it was about the idea, but the structure. I mean, if something had to get done, I could just say he'd play goalkeeper and center back, defensive position. And I could just, dictate to him, the team, this is the drill, this is how we're going to do. And he loved it. Loved his team, was very excited to go to practices, games.
But go clean up your room.
Go clean up your room. So we have a dog, which you saw if you watched the pre-episode 1. Avery made her appearance. This poor dog was supposed to get a bath last Sunday. Well, it just got done about an hour and a half ago, a week later. So that's where we're at now. But it did start to do exactly what we had hoped. It kind of set a base of how to interact with peers in a pressure situation. Not lose your cool or yell at each other or the other team. It learned respect to the referee, respect to the coaches when I wasn't coaching. I only coached my son's team because my daughter was too young. I couldn't deal with just, 10 kids running around. I think they called it satellite football. There's the sun and everything goes around. He really enjoyed it, and it really kind of set a base for them in society. I'm blessed to have been told numerous times how good my kids are, how respectful my kids are. And that's not necessarily from our interactions, because I'm the guy that says, why didn't you clean up your room? Why didn't you wash the dog? Hey, we just got a new refrigerator. Has a nice little pitcher, so you can have nice cold water whenever you want. Wasn't supposed to go in the dishwasher, but I wanted it to go in the upper rack once, real quick, just to kind of give it a little sanitize.
Did you mess it up?
He put it on the bottom rack, and I pulled it out, and the top was now wavy, and you can't put the lid on. So, but it's really...
Wash it by hand.
Yes, I should have done that in the first place. I can't blame him entirely, and I'll say that since he is not here. So I had to deal with my son, my kid. At that point, my daughter didn't matter. My son picking a sport I didn't know anything about. At the time, my wife didn't like, because she was just brought up with you don't like soccer.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, in high school, the football team called them the pumpkin pusher, or no, the basketball players were the pumpkin pushers. I think they had a more derogatory term for the soccer players. What do you think you're gonna do if she says I want to play softball? If she says I want to play tennis or badminton?
Oh, I hope she's not gonna play tennis because I can't afford that. That's expensive. Like classes for tennis, like that's expensive. Badminton, look, maybe if you have time to circle back. Love that game. So I have no idea if she chooses, like, that's the only sport I don't really care about. So softball, baseball, I don't care about. Softball, even more. You can imagine even more. Like it's like I don't even know how to explain it. It's just not. I just can't get to it. I really tried. I just can't get to it. And I think it's just a part of raising with the sport. Like it's not easy to get into that sport. So what I'm gonna do if she wants it, I'm gonna like gently suggest maybe some other sports, any other sports. Seriously,
competitive knitting,
anything, chess. But if she's really like, I want softball, I want baseball, whatever the game is, I'm gonna support it, and I'm gonna probably do like you and start try to learn it and go and buy a baseball bat and. Because I don't own it. I don't have a baseball bat. I don't have a baseball glove. And there's no baseballs. So there's nothing like that.
Have you ever hit a baseball?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
You've got a challenge.
Yeah. No. So we can maybe one of the next episodes we can discuss my opinions on baseball, and that can be probably something we're not gonna agree on. But even though I don't like it. And I don't really enjoy it, and I don't really think it's a big deal. If my daughter chooses softball, I'm gonna pretend it's the best thing ever, and I think that's the duties of us as a parents is to do that. Again, gently try towards other sports.
Subliminal messages.
Yes.
Posters of Lionel Messi.
Yes.
Put Vlade up on.
Maybe when I'm reading the nighttime story, I can talk about how when I played soccer, how great it was. Something like that. I hope that she's gonna be. I mean, like she's been watching soccer for her whole life, 5 years. And she likes going there. I don't think she likes like watching soccer. She likes walking around the stadium eating ice cream. But baby steps.
If there's ice cream, they will come.
Baby steps. So hopefully she will get into sports. We're just talking with my wife about it and what her natural affinities right now are not into sports. Mm-hmm. She's more into music right now, which is fine. It's fine with me. I would love her to go to sports, and I think maybe as you did with your kids, maybe going to sports just to get that foundation of what the teamwork is, what the authority is, what the rules are. You gotta follow the rules no matter what, because sometimes in life you just have to follow the rules no matter what. And like masks, but that's not a subject. So like maybe that would be a good thing, but I think her affinities are not in that area right now. But we'll see. Like she's only 5 years old. When it comes to her energy, she definitely needs sports. Like she would. I would like her to go to some soccer center so she can run 2 hours and then come back home tired.
So what I'll tell you the struggle was, I mean, maybe it was because my kids picked soccer, getting them to dedicate the way even I dedicated. I was trying to build up, if you want to hit the ball far, you want a quick swing, and you want some power in your forearms. I used to take an axe and just using my wrists, snap the axe to try to build up the forearms. I would hit pop flies. I'd get a tennis ball and tennis racket and whale the tennis ball up and just try to deal with the wind. Stuff I would just do on my own to try to get better at the game. My kids don't do that. Mm-hmm. Never did that. And unfortunately for my daughter, it kind of bit her because she didn't practice. And when we moved from East Orlando out here, she had I think a year off of soccer almost. And she's like, all right, I'm going to try for the middle school team. And she's a good goalie, Problem is, my daughter's tiny. And if you've ever seen soccer, I think Hope Solo, the women's goalie, was 6'1" or something like that.
She got to be big,
She was pretty much kind of shooed away from the goalie position, but she hadn't practiced any other skills at home. So she didn't make the team. So that's the struggle I kind of fell into, is getting them to understand. And I don't know if it's culture, if it's something I did, my wife did, to approach it wrongly, but they never worked on the skills in order to get better. It's almost as if, well, I show up to practice, I show up to the game, and to be honest, and I don't know if it's like this around the world right now, it wasn't really kind of like this when I was a kid. Everyone played, but if you were in that bottom tier, you played very little. And the better kids played. Well, by the time I got around to coaching, I had to try to balance that everybody played the same amount. Because in today's day and age, well, I paid the same amount of money as Timmy. Well, Timmy is 5 times better than your kid, and your kid doesn't listen, and he's constantly running laps and not doing drills because he's not listening. So, yeah, he's not getting as much play. I was able to do one season where I had most of the parents on board, where I said, this year, it's going to be performers out there.
Meritocracy.
By the end of the season, I found out I had a number of complaints lodged against me because their kids weren't playing. So
see, I think those are two polar opposites. I don't think my parents ever pushed me.
Mine either.
Yeah, I don't think. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. I don't even know. I can't really tell. I'm thinking about that. Like, do I make my daughter take piano lessons, or do I make her go to do a maker practice and do this and do this? I want her to enjoy it. I don't want her to think she has to do it, because there's no way she's going to do it full time if she's if it's a chore.
But some high level athletes, that's how they grew up. I mean, I'm not an expert on Tiger Woods at all, but casually, it looks like that father beat golf into his head, and he had the gifts, obviously, to play the game. But I got to imagine, I mean, I did it with baseball. There was one summer where I was like, I don't want to play. And lucky me, well, actually, it was lucky. My father had already paid and signed me up, and he said, you're paid for, you're playing. And I just wanted to take that year off. And in retrospect, at the time, I was so angry. I don't remember how old I was, 9 maybe. Just wanted to not worry about it. But he said, I signed you up. You're going to keep playing. You're going to go. And I broke my arm. It was 8th grade. It was 8th grade, actually. I broke my arm that year. But I still enjoyed it. And I went back and played it as long as I could. I don't know. It's a weird balance, the force to not force.
I feel like if I would sense that she likes it and wants it, I would push it more. Wouldn't be just whatever you want to do. Because kids are not. If you don't make them, they're not going to do it.
Right.
That's just a fact of life. I don't know if I would push her against her wants. I don't know. No, now I see she's for example, music is not topic of this episode, but if she's really into music, I will nudge her and make her do it. Maybe not during COVID, so I'm not going to pay a piano teacher to come over, but maybe to see if that's what it is. And then when the weather is a little bit better, maybe get 2 little goals and start playing soccer with her. Maybe she'll enjoy it.
You have a goal. I gave you guys a little goal.
Yeah. So I have a goal. So maybe she's gonna enjoy that. We played it every time we would come from soccer game. We would play inside her house a little bit, But and she wanted it. But it's.
But maybe that's the culture now. Then, not now. The culture now being other easier ways of distraction, and perhaps those easier ways of distraction. We had easy ways of distraction.
Yeah.
It was toys or television, but back then you didn't have the television in every corner of the room. We had the family room television that I had to sit in front of and change the channel when my father said, change, check, go back,
change. There was 3 channels.
Here, I mean, they can go anywhere. We were appliance shopping, and there was a refrigerator that has a tablet built into it. You could watch Netflix on your refrigerator.
That's crazy.
So is it too easily distracted? And the reason why I can't say that's really the answer, even though it seems like it is, there are kids that get passionate about sports. We have amazing, like 18, 19-year-old players that have dedicated their whole life to get to the top level of their sport.
But that's very few. Like that's less than 1% of kids. Like that's why they're top level, because it's not everybody like that. And I feel like definitely it's talent, but then there has to be dedication. Like there's no way without dedication, there's no way. And it's like I think it's up to parents really to push that or not. And I feel like it's kids are not gonna push it. They're not gonna push it. Like if I don't sign up my daughter for soccer practice, she will not go. Like it's just as simple as that. Like she does not know how to sign her up for that.
Right.
And I feel like it is up to us. It's just like a moral dilemma. Like, do I make her do it, or do I help her discover it by herself, or just let her do whatever she would like, and maybe, guide her in that direction, whatever she chooses. I don't know.
There's a lot of open area there, a lot of room for discussion, and definitely we're two guys that think we know everything, but I couldn't tell you the answer at all. I don't know where the line is between not pushing enough, not the line, but the extreme, to pushing too much.
Yeah.
Because am I pushing too much because of what I want? Do I have to try to interpret what my kid says? Do I listen to what my kid says? Or is it some amalgamation of all of it? And I've had successes. They've been fewer than I'd like to admit, because the more I tend to push, the more dad gets behind something, the less they're kind of.
Oh, they're not interested.
Conversely, if you don't lead the horse to water, they're not drinking. Yeah. They're not trying to.
So I guess it needs to be more subtle.
The Vlade Divac poster. Yes. I think that's going to be the way to do it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I would love her to go into I would love to go into sports, and not maybe jokingly, half jokingly. I said that she needs to go into sports because I am not paying for her college, so she'll have to get into a scholarship somehow. I just started the college fund today, so it's hopefully we'll get there. But like we as parents see some end goal, some higher goal for them to go into sports? Like, do we kind of secretly hope they're gonna become professional or make a living out of it, or like what's our end game for pushing kids into sports? Like, what's the end game? Like, I would love her to go through life enjoying what she's doing, and not because I made her do something. I don't want her to regret not doing something she liked because her dad pushed her. But again, I wish like my mom was letting me choose whatever I wanted, and I had like a pretty happy childhood, and I can't really complain about anything. But I maybe not like now with the 40-something years, I wish maybe that I pushed more into something specific and become like that. Like had natural predisposition for sports that time. So maybe if they push me a little bit more, maybe I would, make it.
Or conversely, maybe there's that kid that is a really good basketball player, but his parents pushed to basketball. But if they kind of were a little bit more open to different experiences, maybe he's the world's greatest doctor, or the leading computer programmer, or a fantastic painter. So again, and this is a great topic for conversation. What are your thoughts? What are your comments? Put them down below. How much is too much, and how little is too little? Because I've always wanted my kids to try to taste a little bit of anything. The only thing I've succeeded in that is food. My kids will try anything. They had tongue tacos the other day from the taco truck around the corner. I want them to have that kind of breadth of experiences, but at the same time, like, my kids are getting older.
Yeah, you want them to.
My son has to start
something
focusing.
Yeah.
It's next year, senior year of high school. and then
Well,
it's college.
maybe he's going to focus on academics later.
I mean, he's kind of focused. He's clicked back on with his grades. He realizes they're important, but I still think he's not really sure where he wants to go.
Oh,
And nobody is.
yeah,
I get it.
Yeah. 16 years old, you don't know. If you know, you're blessed. If you know that time.
Probably. There's probably.
And that's maybe where parents have to come into and kind of like, oh, maybe this is where your natural ability is. Let me push you towards there, and then you like decide what you like. If he likes video games, maybe he's gonna like programming and video game design or something. Like
He's got digital art.
There you go. So
Stuff, pencils
he
and markers.
He ain't going to be playing soccer. So
no, definitely not going to be playing soccer.
So to end this episode, as Adam said, let's hear what you think. Would you push your kid towards your dreams and your goals and what you think is best for them, or would you let them explore and just be like a free range parent, or would you? What would be your strategy? Let us know.
And are sports important to you and your kids, or do you think that they can get those same lessons from another venue? Let us know. Again, leave a comment, leave a question. Subscribe, like this video, please. Look for us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I don't know how. Facebook's probably our most active right now.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Twitter guy over here.
We'll get there.
But thank you very much for your time, guys. We'll get this posted for you, and go Tampa Bay. He can't root for Tampa, but I'm going to stay in state. I honestly couldn't care less who wins this game.
Yeah.
But hopefully your team wins. You guys have a great Super Bowl Sunday.
See you all next time.